was a little late on that. Welcome to Zen Parenting Radio. This is podcast number 790. Why listen to Zen Parenting Radio? Because you'll feel outstanding. And always remember our motto, which is that the best predictor of a child's well-being is a parent's self-understanding. On today's show, I'm thumbing in Cathy's book that's not yet out. You can pre-order it, but you can't quite get it yet.
But the release date was moved.
Hot off the press, new update.
It's going to be available December 10th. So it can be a holiday gift.
Yeah, there you go.
To yourself or to others. And
I'm so glad it was moved up. Who releases a book in January? That's silly. Do it in December.
Actually, Zen Parenting was released in January.
Maybe we should have moved it up to December.
Yeah.
Christmas gift.
Yeah. So holidays.
Buy it for every parent you know.
And also, just it's good.
So I'm on page 138. I've read the end of the book because the end of the book is some essays from our daughters. And then I don't know what page. I'm on page 90, starting at the front. So I haven't gotten to this part yet, but the section you want to talk about today is when you think of me, I feel less alone.
Yes. So before we launch into that,
yeah.
I wanted to say that I wrote something and if you subscribe to my Substack, you may have already read it. I'm not sure when I'm putting it out, but you might have already read it. And it's about why a book about girls is more important than ever, because a lot of the questions that I've been getting as I've been doing I'm just starting to do podcasts about this book is people will say, hey, the focus right now is on young boys and young men. Why is this book necessary right now? And to be very blunt, there is never, ever going to be a time when it isn't going to be necessary to think about what's going on with our girls in the world. It's always going to be necessary.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we believe that it's like we only have enough bandwidth to look at one thing at a time, or we look at the data around, we're like, oh, wait, boys aren't graduating as much from high school as girls are, and girls are going to college more. And then girls have higher grades in English and reading. Therefore, boys need help. The truth is all of those things that maybe, again, that's research, it's data that doesn't play out in a way where girls aren't struggling as much or having the same kind of, emotional experiences where they're feeling challenged. Like it doesn't decrease what they're going through. They're having the same issues that, they always have, very similar to what young boys are having. And so sometimes we just look at data and we assume because they're graduating more that everything's fine.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to open up this idea that there will never be a time that we won't be focusing on making sure our girls are feeling seen and heard and valued.
It just so happens I underlined this in the first part of your book.
Let's hear it.
Page 29. According to the CDC, 2021, nearly 3 out of 5 teenage girls experience persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness, a figure double that of boys.
Right. So that's the thing is we kind of cherry pick things to say, hey, we need to focus on this, or boys aren't going to school as much and therefore they're feeling left out. And I get it. I'm not saying don't focus on the needs of boys and men.
It's both.
I'm saying don't disregard and say, well, we're fine over here, but not over here. So
correct.
That I just wanted to say that because I wrote about that in my Substack, why I think this book is more important than ever. That's all I'll say. So what the section we're on, we actually a month ago, we spent a little time focusing on real things that your daughters are saying to me, the things that they have asked me to share with you as parents. And last time we focused on my book, Restoring Our Girls, we focused on this value that's called know me.
Yep.
And the issue that we focused most on was let me tell you about me rather than you telling me about me.
Boom.
This week, we are going to talk about the next value, which is connect with me. And then go ahead, Todd. It is.
When you think of me, I feel less alone. And real quick, before you answer this,
sure.
and our audience will probably get sick of hearing me say this, but Cathy's last book, Zen Parenting, was kind of like a greatest hits of our previous 650 podcasts. And it's so valuable and so helpful. Whereas I feel like this one, even though I'm not all the way through it yet, is Cathy and I are human beings, and there's times when we parent very well, and there's times when we have parenting challenges. When Cathy is in her gold or in her essence, or when she's being a really good mom, which is more often than not, you do things that you don't have to like remember to do. You just do it. And this book for me is kind of I'm like, Cathy, you don't understand that the energy and how and noticing our daughters, it's really hard to do. It's really hard to connect with daughters in our society with the distractions and the phones and the news and all these awful things. To maintain honest, authentic connection with our daughters is not easy, or our sons for that matter. What this book is a roadmap for staying connected, both like energetically and quite literally within the confines of a conversation. And as somebody who likes somebody telling me what to do, and then I decide whether or not I'm going to do that, this book is that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say that.
And the hope is that you'll see a lot of different options, and it is a roadmap, but there's many different paths on the roadmap. Like, the whole first part of the book is how to have, important conversations with your kids, like a guide to having important conversations. Then the next part is like, here's the things to focus on within those conversations, like, so you've kind of figured out how to talk to your kid.
You have like the generic map, and then the specific map. And even within this thing that we're going to talk about today, when you think of me, I feel less alone. We're probably going to give you one or two ideas that you can do.
Sure.
If you're like, I don't know, how do I connect with my kids? Well, we're going to give you some ideas.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk about this one because it's conceptually, I think parents struggle with it more. I feel like I have to explain this because it seems somewhat paradoxical. So, because some of the other ones are a little more obvious, but then I'm like pointing out, this is what they're saying. Well, this is one where what I know is that when your girls are, let's talk about a 3-year-old kid. What do when they're 2 or 3? They push away from you. They are individuating. They want space. They want to do things themselves. Now, what we know though, when they're 2 or 3 is when they're doing that pushing, it doesn't mean they want you gone. They just want space. Okay. So I think sometimes as our girls grow up, parents misunderstand this or become personally offended by their girls and become kind of in an all or nothing mentality.
Right.
Like I'm your mom and you're either treating me kind or I'm not going to treat you kind, or, you either do as I say, or I'm not going to bother talking to you. We kind of become immature, we become immature instead of understanding exactly what's going on with our girls. So there is no absolute age where they start to differentiate. It usually happens around 12, 13, 14, but it can like continue on or maybe happen later. So there's no exact age. But if you've been pushed away or you feel like peers are becoming more important or they're checking in with you less or whatever it may be, you're experiencing that. And I think sometimes we view this as like, it can be heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It can be hard. It's also, if we can get a wider lens on this is how it's supposed to be, rather than why is this happening? What can I do to change it?
This is normal.
This is normal. And there is a freedom, ironically, as a parent in knowing that your child is now trying to find things on their own. They're trying to do their own reading. They're trying to, talk with their peers about things. They're maybe connecting with a coach or a piano teacher or somebody in their life that they're learning from, as well as learning from you. I think the only time they feel like they need to push us away even harder is when we don't get this,
or we want something from them.
Correct.
Which could be connection. And my one quick thing is,
Sure.
I remember taking JC to lacrosse when she was like 14, and I was all ready to connect with my daughter because I felt disconnected. And I had a half-hour drive. I'm like, this is our opportunity. And I started asking open-ended questions. She was completely shut down. I felt hurt because I was ready to connect and she wasn't. And what I didn't do was tune in. Like, is now a really good time to connect? So anyways, that's just one.
Well,
example.
and the tuning in is, it is a good time. You felt like you wanted to connect, but you're forgetting there's another
Yeah,
human being
Takes
involved.
two to tango.
So Todd's like, okay, I feel relaxed. I don't feel overwhelmed by work. I'm in the car, so I want
There
to
we go.
connect. And he forgets there's another person that may not, that may be thinking about the lacrosse game, that may be worried about a friendship, that may be concerned about a test coming
Maybe
up.
she had a crappy day of school.
They're just not in the same place. Now, this is where this one becomes important, because it's what I wrote is, when I know you're thinking of me, I feel less alone. So why this can feel paradoxical is there is a sense of, you have to allow them to do these things, to have experiences with other adults and to be with their friends and to make decisions for themselves. But it's also helpful if during that time they know you're there. Okay. And there's many different, things about this. Like some parents talk about how at home, I remember Glennon saying that as your kids get older, you become more like a house plant. And instead of like circling around them and doing everything for them, you're just there. Okay. So there's the physical manifestation of like, be available in case they just want to see you. They want to ask you a question. They want to give you a hug in the morning, whatever it may be. Then there's also the doing something creative to make sure they know it. And what I mean by that is find other ways to check in, send them texts and say, I was thinking about you today. Or I think you told me last week that you had a big event today, and I just wanted to know if you're excited. Or I was thinking about it too. Or if they tell you about something they did with their friends, and you can say, oh my gosh, send me a picture. I totally want to see it. Or they, this is connected to other things we've said, but like you notice that they're listening to new music or watching a new show, and you get interested in it and you pay attention.
Can we use a real life example?
Sure.
So we have a 17-year-old daughter at home. She is in the middle of her junior year. She's busy as I've ever seen her. She's doing speech and doing a bunch of extracurricular stuff. It's also an important year of high school because you have to get blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, you won't be able to go to blah, blah, blah. All those stupid stories that we tell ourselves. Maybe not stupid, but just out of balance. So anyways, last night she was overwhelmed. Like she's worried about math and she had a busy weekend. And I wanted to be able to engage with her in a way where she felt the love. And I was asking, she's like, Dad, I don't really feel like talking right now.
Don't ask me to
So
tell
I was
you
asking her,
stories.
yeah. So she just didn't want to talk, which is fine. Do you remember what you said to her when we walked into her room last night?
No.
Because we wanted to make sure, I'll speak for us, even though I'm speaking out of my own mouth here. We wanted to make sure she knew that we had her back.
Mm-hmm.
So what you said was, because I'm sitting there like empty mind, like nothing. Like I don't know how to connect with this kid. I know I love her. I'll tell her I love her before I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you said, what if I washed your sheets? And she kind of lit up a little bit.
Well, what she said, I said, tell me, do you feel like you have a list? Because I didn't want her to have to list off everything. I said, is there anything you didn't get to today?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she said, oh, I didn't wash my sheets. And I said, what if I do that tomorrow?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be home. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
And
as much as that's about the sheets, it's also not about the sheets.
No, it's not about
the sheets. It's that
yeah.
She knows that you're going to do something that has her back today.
Mm-hmm.
While she's at school doing her thing. So I just think that like, if it was just me in that room, I'd be like, love you, babe. And then that's it.
Well, and before that, I had gone up to her room without you because I had seen her. She had spent the night at a friend's house, and it was a little chaotic last week. And I went up there and I just I laid down on the floor on my stomach.
Why?
I don't know. I just was like, I don't want to be like hovering over her. So I just laid down on my stomach and put my hands on, you know what I mean? I did one of these, like laid down on the floor.
Well, and just real quick, difference between you and me. I would have walked in her room, sat in the doorway saying, you need anything? She would have said no. And I'd be like, all right, love you. Like, that's it. Instead, you like literally, not did you get down to her level, you were lower than her.
Yes.
And I think that opens her up a little bit.
Well, I think the goal is physically through words, through actions. You don't want them to feel like they owe you something.
Yeah.
I think we are so conditioned in relationships to be like, I'm going to give this and you're going to give that. And, I'm going to say this and you better say this back. And again, sometimes we haven't learned how to be in a healthy relationship in marriage or in friendship or whatever. So we're kind of doing the same thing with our kids, is we haven't developed those skills yet, but we totally can. And the goal is like, what is my goal when I'm going in that room?
Good
I
question.
knew she felt overwhelmed. So I want to go in and see if she needs anything. And also to let her know that I'm available. Again, this one, when you think of me, I feel less alone. And to also not give her something else she needs to worry about, which is me.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to add to her list of, oh, now I got to talk to my mom. And then now she's going to make me do this. Like, we think we can be very rote about the way I'm going to help you is I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to make you tell me everything. And I'm going to get mad if you don't tell me everything. And then I'm going to try and look through your stuff or try and figure it. And we become part of the problem versus
yet another thing on their list of things that they got to concern themselves over.
Correct. And so I just kind of laid down on my stomach and said, so a lot of things. I said, she got a lot of things. And she's like, yes. And I have this and this. And I'm like, yeah. And then I said, you have, I said, I see nail polish on your floor. Do you want me to get that up? Like, that's what I was doing. I'm like, I'm not contributing. I'm not coming there to resolve anything in myself.
Well, that's the thing.
I'm just showing up.
Well, and I think that's an important piece, because I sometimes am like, I feel disconnected from you, Skylar. So I need to feel better about myself. And the only way for me to do that is to feel useful to you.
Yeah.
And our kids pick up on that energy.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. Because then they feel like they have to give us something to make us feel good. Again, do you see how we become an obstacle rather than a support system? And we don't want to admit that because we're like, but I said I'd do anything, or I said I'd go get them dinner, or I offered to take them to a movie. But again, that's only one-sided. That's what you want to do. That's not where they are.
What about this question? And I think it's an important question, but sometimes not that helpful. What does support look like for you? Or how can I support you? Because half the time when I'm struggling, I don't have any clue.
Well, and that's important, because that's the thing, is to say, what does support look like for you? It may be something they can't come up with.
Yeah.
Dude, I work with girls who don't even know what mood they're in.
Yeah.
So they don't even know how to express their feelings. So to say, give me a detailed report on what support looks like for you, they may not know. Now, the question itself, though, is valuable, because you're not coming in and saying, I'm going to do this for you and you better like it. It's more like, so going on with that example that you're giving, I think she said, finally, she's like, I'm going to get in the shower. And I said, sounds good. I said, I'm going to come up in a little bit and I'll check on you and see what's going on. She's like, sounds good. So there was no like, no, you don't have to do that. She's like, she said, sounds good. So I think that's when you and I went back up. And I also, because this, for my specific daughter, she needs, like, I know that hugs help her. Even if she doesn't ask for them, I say, I'm going to give you a quick hug. And then she may just want a quick hug. And sometimes she wants a long hug. That's very specific to my kid. Like, I don't want to say to parents, that's what every kid needs, because some physical touch isn't where they're at with you at that moment. But I did give her a hug. And then we went back up there and we were kind of like, okay, what else? Okay, I'll do your sheets tomorrow. And she was kind of like, and she also said, I didn't get everything done that I wanted to get done. And it was already 9. And we were like, so what? Like, it's Sunday. Like, there has to be a day where you do less. And I think if a kid says to us, I didn't get done everything I needed to get done, and we become hyper and we're like, well, what didn't you get done? Are you going to get in trouble? Like, if we become like the voice in their head versus that's okay.
We want to provide an alternate voice.
Correct.
Other than the inner critic, which resides in, I would say, 99.9% of us, instead of reinforcing that one, like, let's give her a different take.
And I know some parents will say, well, my kid, that's not how they talk to me, or they do expect me to do things, and what I want you to know is that you're in the process of building a relationship with your kid. And if your kid is treating you poorly, if they are behaviorally being not kind to you, if they are locking the door and saying, I don't want to talk to you, there is something going on with your communication where they feel like you're not helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not to say, okay, shame on you. That's not a judgment. I'm saying these same things that we're talking about apply, because you got to start somewhere new.
That's, I mean, what I was about to say is the results are the results. And
Right.
if you keep trying to do the same thing,
Right.
and they continue to respond the same way
By slamming the door or saying, leave me alone.
It's not working.
Right.
We should title this podcast, if it's not working, do something different. Because I fall in that pattern. Like, well, I'm just going to try to do the same thing and maybe she'll be different this time. That's not going to, like, we have to get creative. This is curiosity and creativity. And, you know, I don't know if we're going to get to how you send up our family, our extended family, all your friends, all these texts, but I think it's one of your superpowers because you're always sending us memes or videos or text messages. And it feels really good.
Right.
And I don't do it as much as you do. And that's fine. And it's not that you're better than I am, but it's one of your gifts.
Yeah. And it's, you know, both sides, right? I get something out of it too.
Yeah.
You know, like I enjoy when I think of people, I like sending them things. And when people text me, I like texting back. I think it feels good. I know that there are times, like I've definitely gone through times where I'm struggling or I'm overwhelmed and I can't text back. Like that's called life. It's not where I'm anxious about it. But I think having connection with people is the only reason we're here. Like all this other crap that we're doing and running around and being busy and trying to prove our worth and be overproductive and demonstrate to everyone why we're better. It's all just crap.
Yeah.
And when you have enough life experiences to recognize that it doesn't get you anywhere, you just realize the only thing that's important is connecting with people.
Oh.
So what if you understood that at a real micro level in your home? And instead of worrying about it, you know, because like Todd said, I text a lot of people, you don't have to worry about everybody. What if you just focused on the people in your home and even saying, I'm trying new things. You don't have to pretend. You can be like, you know what? You seem really annoyed at me when you come home and I get it. So I want to try new things, you know, like have some humility.
Well,
you know,
I thought it was interesting this morning. You know, Monday mornings are always tough for most of us, I would say. And you and I got home from yoga and Skylar was, you know, reading a book at the kitchen counter, finishing her breakfast, getting ready for a day of school. And I started, you know, farting around the kitchen, making lunches. You were playing your Wordle games. Mm-hmm. And it was quiet for a good, you know, I think we had 15 or 20 minutes with her. And 17 out of the 20 minutes were either you and I talking or just being silent. And there's a part of me that's like, no, this is the only window of time I get with this kid. And I don't know if she's even going to be around tonight. So I need to connect. And then you said one question to her, and I think it was about speech.
Mm-hmm.
And
I said, who do you think will get MVP?
Get MVP. Mm-hmm. And you waited until she was almost done. I say that you're like, well, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing it up because if I could decide how it goes, it would be a lively, energetic, loving conversation between my daughter and I for the 20 minutes before school. Mm-hmm. And what she wants is to read her book.
Correct.
Because she's about to go into 9 different meetings, mm-hmm. also known as classes, mm-hmm. that she probably doesn't really want to go to. So this is reading her vampire book is the way that she's charging her battery up for the day.
And again, that's another big part of restoring our girls. The part of my book is, you know, number one, you have to know your kid, right? And, you know, I think 2 of my kids really want to be like external processors and talk, you know, my older 2 kids. And my youngest kid, she needs things like reading, like she needs quiet and she likes when we're around, but she wants to be reading. And I think Todd's point is he doesn't understand that in his own body where he's like, if I'm reading, I'll just be alone. Why would I want to read if other people are around? So if other people are around, I can have conversations, but that's not how everybody is. And so there is and again, remember this one that we're going over with you is when you think of me, I feel less alone. So what does that look like in many, many different iterations? When you know that I like reading in the morning, I feel less alone. When you send me a text because you know I'm busy in my room and I can't come down for dinner, but you text and say, good luck, go get them, I feel less alone. when I want to go out with a new group of friends, but you wanted me to do something different. And then you say, well, I trust you, go do it and have a good time. I feel less alone. So there's many different ways that this looks, when you think of me, not when you think of yourself and your needs, but when you think of me, I feel less alone.
Well, and I just want to share, it is pretty easy to maintain the silence in the kitchen in the mornings when she's reading a book. I can also do it when she's on her phone, but I don't like it as much because isn't that weird? Like I have a judgment against how she's spending her time. And I'm as bad as anybody on my phone. I just want to like own the fact that it's a little bit easier to like maintain the silence when she's reading a book. But if she's like, whatever, on Instagram, getting reinforced these messages that are not important in my brain, it's just a little bit harder.
Well, and sometimes, she's been pretty good about that lately. Like the girls are kind of figuring out, like we all are, how much we want to be on social media, especially right now. And I even think in those times when our kids are scrolling, we say something like, send me something funny that you're seeing. Or we say, when I am on social media, I say, did you see the blah, 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 blah. Or, like the other day she was on and I said, did you check the Grammy nominations? And she goes, oh, I'll go there and check right now and read them to you. So there's like, even when they're on their phones, as long as you're not saying things like, you're always on your phone, right, or you never talk to me. Because again, you're judging, you're making them feel bad. You're not going to create a conversation with those intros.
Right.
And again, I understand that maybe you need to have a talk with your daughter or your son about being on the phone, but maybe it's not coming on strong first thing in the morning when they're trying to get ready for school.
Probably not the best idea.
Maybe that's we've got 30 minutes in the car before practice and I want to say something about, how are you doing with your phone? And is it feeling overwhelming, rather than, I think you're on your phone too much. Right. It's, how do you feel?
Ask questions. Instead of make judgments.
When you think of me, I feel less alone.
Yeah.
And this is the truth again, because everything I write about is universal principles. This is human. This is in a relationship. If I'm coming at Todd all the time saying, give me something, do more for me, if I'm, instead of thinking to myself, where is Todd? When I think of him, he's going to feel less alone and more connected to me. Yeah. Now, let me be clear. This is why it's paradoxical. And so it's such an interesting conversation. Within that, I sometimes have to think of me and say, I'm not getting what I need. I need to have a conversation. But I can at least think about not doing it at the end of the Lions game. When everything is like all amped up, I can say, maybe this is better for at lunch tomorrow. Or, there are many, many different ways to connect and relate to people. And you know what? All these things I'm telling you right now, you may try something new and it doesn't work well. Guess
what? It may not work.
because I don't know your kid and I don't know your personality. And all I'm asking you is, I'm not saying do as I do. I'm saying try something different and think about your kid. Think about your daughter. Is she someone who's feeling overwhelmed? Is she someone who feels uninspired? The opposite? Is she someone who likes quiet in the morning and you respect that? Is she someone like, another thing about when you think of me, I feel less alone. The story that I tell in the book, and I think I've told this before, but I'll tell it again, is my oldest daughter. There was a time that, she was really busy in her junior year and she was always taking walks with friends and hearing about, I think it was COVID time. And she was hearing about everybody's problems and, taking all these long walks at night, which we were fine with, as long as I knew where she was. And I would every once in a while text her and say, how you doing? Just thinking about you, that's it. Mm-hmm. And she said that one of her guy friends that she was with at the time said, I haven't gotten a text with someone just thinking about me since ever.
Yeah.
Like, and I wasn't asking her for anything. I wasn't saying anything instructive.
Yeah.
And all he was recognizing, he wasn't like, you have the greatest mom. It wasn't that. It was like, he was commenting on his own experience, which was no one's checking to see how I'm doing.
Right. And as annoyed as our kids get when the curfew is 11:30 and it's 11:45, some people would think like, oh, what the kid really wants is not to be bothered by their parents.
That's
But
not the case,
but
right?
that's not the case.
No.
If the kid is not being checked in on,
Yeah.
and they, I had friends who like, oh, I remember, I won't say his last name. His name is Steve. We all had a curfew of like midnight or whatever
Right.
when we were however old, and he could stay out till 4 if he wanted. And there's a part of me that probably that thinks he liked that, but there's another part of me like, WTF? Like your parents don't
know where you are.
Where you are. As we get close to closing this podcast, I just want you to share the part of the section of the book of what Rachel Simmons said, because I remember laughing at the conference when she said that, and I think there was a big laughter. So what did she say?
Yeah, she said, so Rachel Simmons, who wrote Curse of the Good Girl and other books about girls, she was at our 2020 conference, and she said that, she goes, the thing you have to understand is when you are helping your kids in this way, or talking to them in a new way, or being creative, or having humility in the way that you're trying to connect or do things for them. She's like, don't expect that your kid is going to out of the blue go, wow, mom, you're just doing this amazing job trying to connect with me, and I'm really seeing the effort you're putting in. Like they're not going to do that.
It's not their job.
That's not where they are. And this is the bottom line of this section of the book is we are someone that our kids should not fear losing. Okay. So we are not in a game of transactional. If you're not nice to me, I'm not nice to you, or I'm not going to give you something unless you give me something. We as a parent are not someone they should worry about losing. And anybody who's come from a toxic family or a toxic parent or a narcissistic parent, that is a risk.
Yeah. The withholding of love.
The withholding of love, that if you give me something, I give you something back. Let's not do that ever. So why this is important, this conversation is, it's how we show up. And of course we can point out if our kids are being rude or not doing what they're saying. It doesn't mean you can't comment on them. It means, what is your approach? Because what your approach to them is what their approach will be back. I now have, 2 adult daughters, and the way that they communicate is very familiar. I will just say that, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like when I see them talking to other people, I'm like, that feels very familiar. So sometimes the dividends is recognizing when something maybe you did over a period of time shows up in a healthy way in their relationships.
Yeah.
And they understand themselves, and they understand how to communicate. If we don't try new things and we communicate ineffectively or cruelly or without thinking, then that's what they take out in the world. We have to like, the thing about restoring our girls, the thing I love about this book is there is, obviously I would want you to think about these things really early when your girls are young. So you don't have to wait till they're teenagers to read this book, but you can start having different conversations when they're 17, 18, 19, 20, 25. Yeah. You can always try something new. And hopefully the conversations like this one, and hopefully in reading this book, you'll have some new pathways.
You ready for my 3 options of what we're going to title this podcast?
Okay, let's hear it.
It isn't working. Try new things.
Okay.
Or helping our kids feel less alone. You can sit on that. I was going to say something else.
I kind of like the third one. Sit on it, Potsy.
No, I was going to say something from Wonderlust.
Which was
yeah. I want to just quickly say, please join us for our final farewell conference, January what, sweetie?
24th and 25th. So if you're feeling like you want some community right now, come be with us.
Yeah.
If you're feeling like, oh, I just need some optimistic perspective and I need to be with people who are saying things that make sense. And I'm not just talking about Todd and I. I'm not saying we're the only ones. I'm saying come hear these amazing speakers, Dr. Solomon and Dr. Duffy and Jay and all these people who are coming, the sisters. And someone said something to Todd the other day. They said, a lot of these people, we've brought back some people that we've had at conferences in the past, but we did that on purpose. We wanted to make this conference a much more connective, interactive Q&A, not so like lecture-y, but more like interactive, like bring your situation and let's talk it through rather than, oh, another speaker in 30 minutes. You know, like our intention for our last one was
create a little space for it to breathe,
warmer,
and to sing.
And to have Glenn Phillips from Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Friday night concert. Is it a mini concert? What are we going to call it?
Well, it's like an acoustic concert. It's him on guitar singing songs like this one.
Yeah.
And again, it's just another opportunity. I mean, if anyone is feeling disconnected or alone or scared right now, just be with people, everybody. Let's have each other, and let's just be with people. So come be with us. And if you have any issue with what's it called? Like, not cost, but tickets, but that's the word I'm looking for, like scholarship.
Yeah.
Like, email us.
Yeah, we'll help you out.
And actually right now on the ZenCon2025.com, you can also get my book as part of it, as part of your conference ticket. So
can't make it easier.
I know, it's so easy. Okay, that's it.
Keep trucking, everybody. And thanks to Jeremy Kraft. He's a bald-headed beauty, painting and remodeling throughout the Chicagoland area. 630-956-1800, avidco.net. Keep trucking. See you next Tuesday.